Hey everybody, welcome. It's Tim O'Brien and welcome to Creating $1 Million Messages. Guys, here's the deal. I'm really excited about this for a couple of reasons. But most notably, I want to make sure that you understand what my objective is for you in delivering this information. I've done my job. If I give you the tools, if I give you the strategies, the techniques that are going to help you accomplish 4 very important objectives. First and foremost, guys, this is what it's all about. It's all about getting more prospects, right? That's what we want to do, because the more prospects we have, the more at bats we have, the more opportunity we have to close sales. The more sales we close, the more money we make. And most importantly, guys, we got to be more effective at communicating our messages to the marketplace. We got to sell ourselves better than our competition, whether it's ourselves or our products or our services, right? Now, here's my commitment to you. It's threefold. And I just said what my first commitment is. I want to give you concrete tools and objectives to accomplish those 4 things, or those 4 objectives. That's what I want to do. Is I want to make sure that I deliver you what you need. So at the end of this, you're like, you know what? He delivered on his promise. I definitely think I can attract more prospects. I know I can close more sales. If I close more sales, I'll make more money. And overall, I'm going to feel so much better communicating in the marketplace. Number 2, and this is a big one, because there's a lot of people that get kind of overwhelmed by the concept of creating messages. I'm going to show you how fast and easy it is. I'm going to take you through some templates. You're going to see how super easy this process is. And I think probably for me anyway, once I understood how to do it, my confidence exploded. And that was the key, is the more confidence I got, it kind of fed on itself. So those 3 things are what I hope to be able to deliver for you in this webinar. I'm going to do my very best. Okay? Now, guys, here's the deal. If you stay until the end, I got a little something for you. Right? And I don't think I'm going to need incentive to have you stay till the end, because you're going to see this is chock full of tons of information. But if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you absolutely free. I'm going to send it to you. What I call my seeding script. You know, I use it to build my Rainmaker U program, recruit over 400 professionals into it. Over the course of 10 years, I earned for my company, my family and me over $10 million, right? And I'm not bragging, because you're going to see, I'm going to share some of my real big mistakes that I made. So this is not about bragging, but I want to show you that a tool that I'm going to give you absolutely free was one of the arrows I had in my quiver. And it's not the only one, but it's my seeding script. And I used it really effectively to warm up cold prospects. So you stay till the end. I'm going to give this to you. It's an actual PDF of the script, as well as an accompanying video. Okay. So how's that sound? Pretty good? I think it's a pretty good deal, right? Now, guys, here's what's going to make this webinar different for us. First and foremost, simple, good, complex, bad. You know, Greg Nicolai, who's on, will remember Mr. Mercer, who was my next door neighbor growing up. And he was the guy who wrote the jingles for a lot of commercials. And one of the things he said to me when I was a little boy, he said, Timmy, don't ever forget, simple, good, complex, bad. I'm going to deliver this information very simply, and I'm going to show you how simple it is to achieve the outcomes of developing a great elevator pitch, features and benefits, and uniqueness statement. Number 2, and this is a big thing. Don't worry about me throwing you out there. Here's some concepts, go do it. I'm going to take you through a step-by-step process. I'm going to walk you through it. And number 3, I'm all about tools, guys. All about tools. I just did a seminar the other day on prospecting. Got up in front and I said, guys, at the end of this, I'm going to give you 7 tools. That's what I'm all about, because that's what I was given by my coaches, tools. That's all they can do for us, right? We have to do the rest. We have to do the work, right? So sounds pretty good? Now, guys, here's the scoop. I may go a little bit long, and it's only because I get so emotionally involved in this process. And I remember when I was delivering my Rainmaker U seminar, you know, people paid me a lot of money, and they would come to these meetings once a quarter. And sometimes people wouldn't show up, or they wouldn't do their work. And I would get so frustrated. And I remember my wife, Patricia, saying to me, why do you care so much? And, you know, she wasn't being dismissive of people, but she was just like, you care too much. And I kind of looked at her, and it just didn't make sense to me what she was saying. And I thought, well, isn't that what you're supposed to do? And she wasn't saying don't care about your clients. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know any other way. I really care. So I want you to implement this information, because you're going to see some testimonials in here. And some of you have been kind enough to send me testimonials. Steve Hernandez, you're going to see your name pop up in here. And when you do that and you send that to me, look, man, simple things make people like me, coaches, super happy. And that is, that the time we're investing with our people, with the strategies we're sharing, and they're implementing and getting great results, it just, sends you to the moon. Now, guys, look, let me take a couple seconds to credential myself. I've talked a little bit about Rainmaker U. It's a program I used to run. I don't run anymore. And what it was is a program that taught professionals how to position themselves as the person to see with their target audience. And I ran it for about 10 years. We met in downtown Los Angeles, and people would come in, a lot from LA and Orange County and outside the state, and we would meet in a workshop setting once a quarter. And I did it for about 10 years, and I recruited about 400 plus professionals into the program. Now, these are people that earn 50%, $250,000 to $400,000 a year. I'd say 10% earn over $1 million. And the reason I share that with you is because you're going to see the importance of credentialing yourself. Is I've had the pleasure and honor of working with some really super successful people. I measured conservatively how much the group produced in new income over the course of those 10 years, and it was easily over $100 million. It was, you'll see, $111 million plus dollars. So I think I know what I'm doing. At the core of that workshop was teaching people how to tell their story to the marketplace. That it's at the core. Now, I told you about, hey, over the course of 10 years, I generated, this amount of money, and we made this much money collectively as a group. I think it's important for me to start a little bit at the beginning and tell you, guys, I'm a work in progress just like you, okay? I tell this to my clients all the time. I remember when I was leading my first Rainmaker U workshop, and one of my clients, and there was a friend of mine, and he said, I don't think you should share some of the, your pitfalls, because you're the teacher. And I thought, no, I don't think it should be that way. I think people should know that even though I'm the teacher, that I'm struggling just like you're struggling. And I have to tell you, early on in my career, I remember up until I was, 34 years old, I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Hollywood. I wasn't poor. But I was living paycheck to paycheck, hand to mouth. And I remember, I was driving a Jetta at the time. I didn't have enough money to park it privately, so I would park it on the street right there on Franklin and Cherokee. And I'd come outside, and one day a hubcap would be gone. Another day, the side view mirror would be gone. And I'd be thinking to myself, my God, like people are stealing my car one piece at a time. And I remember my breaking point. I really do. I remember it so well. I was walking up Cherokee. It was about 100 degrees, and that in the California, LA heat in August, pounding down on you. And I remember thinking to myself, something's got to change. I felt just like this photo. I felt like I was a powerhouse, but I was stuck. And I had to somehow break out. And I never had the good fortune of having a mentor to take me along the way. So I was making a lot of mistakes, but I knew inside I had something. I knew I was good, and I knew I just had to figure it out. And so I decided in that moment, I'm going to be in the training business. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be in the training business because I love the training. I love professional development. I love personal development. Read Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn, all these phenomenal people. And I said, I'm going to be in that business. Now, what I want to say to you also is it didn't happen overnight, okay? The key was to take the first step. And the other day I was delivering a workshop for Buchanan Street Partners on personal branding. And Robert Brunswick, the CEO, is a client and friend of mine, introduced me. And he said, I remember he made kind of an aside comment because there were younger people in the room. He calls them the cadets, like they're in training. And he said, we've worked with Tim O'Brien for a long time. As a matter of fact, we've been working from probably over 15 years now. And they're a super successful commercial real estate company that manages money for high net worth individuals, family offices. They have over $1 billion worth of assets under management. And he made the comment, kind of like a throwaway, but it really struck me. He said, here we are. This is a critical year for us. We're in our 20th anniversary, and we have over 500 investors. And he said, so much so for an overnight success. It just took us 20 years to get there. And I thought to myself, isn't that the truth? There is no elevator to the penthouse, man. It's one step at a time. And just like these steps can be daunting, the process can be daunting. So maybe this webinar is your first step. I don't know, but I'm going to do my very best to make it a phenomenal experience. So obviously I took my first step and I was phenomenal, right? Well, guess what? I wasn't phenomenal. I was kind of a disaster, right? So I hesitate to say to share it this way, but I remember I was thinking to myself, okay, I had heard that the best places to go to get prospects was car dealerships, mortgage broker companies, residential real estate companies. So I got on the phone, I put together a little bit of a product, and I got on the phone and I started prospecting. And I was lucky, I hit pay dirt. Now, it was my first time, so I'm thinking, this isn't going to be hard. This is going to be easy. It's going to be no problem. So I got on the phone. I got a general manager on the phone, and he's like, sure, come on in. Love to talk with you. So that's it. So the morning of, I get all dressed up, right? I got my Gucci shoes on. Because remember, I'm all that in a bag of chips. I've got my Georgetown law degree. I got my Gucci shoes. I got my suit on, my tie, my fancy briefcase, everything. And I'm figuring to myself, I'm just going to waltz in there because I'm a good talker, got a good personality, and it's going to be easy peasy, right? Well, I sit down and I start to talk, and I'm talking, and he's listening, and I'm talking some more, and he's still looking at me, and I'm talking some more. My mouth is getting kind of chalky. Ever been in that situation? Yeah, I bet you have, right? And I'm thinking to myself, this is going bad. This is going bad. And I was just so just struggling to just have it come to an end. And so I stopped talking, and he looked at me and he said, haven't heard anything special. Nothing different from anybody else. And I was so humiliated. I never forget it. I was so humiliated. And I walked out and I was so dejected because remember I was at my breaking point working on Cherokee and 100-degree weather. And I thought I had the solution. I had a product. I made a phone call. Guy's going to see me. I'm going to waltz in, and boom, doesn't go so well. And I was like, oh my God, now what am I going to do? And I was just so distraught, And I remember, it was like Friday. So all through Saturday and Sunday, I'm kind of moping around and, kind of just bummed out because it's not, what am I going to do now? And I took my car in to get a car wash on Sunset Boulevard. And right there on right there on Laurel Canyon and Sunset Boulevard used to be this big car wash. And, now there's a Coffee Bean and a Complex and Paquito Moss there, but there was a car wash. And I took my car in to get washed, and I walked inside to pay. And how you walk in, there's these trinkets all over the place, and there's books along the side. Well, this book caught my eye. And for some reason, I just lucked out. It was probably the most important book I had read in my life up to that point, right? And I lucked out. And this is the book. If you're not outselling, you're being outsold. And I picked it up and I started to read it. And I read it and I read it and read it and read it. And guys, it was like manna. It was what I was looking for. By the time I was done, by the time we left there, okay, I had read 50 pages. 50 pages. And it was because all of a sudden it crystallized for me, right? Like, this is how to do it. So I look on the back of the book and the authors, two guys. One guy, Steve Johnson, #1 salesman in the world from Dale Carnegie. And I'm just so fired up because it's a Sunday. And I cannot wait till Monday morning, right? Because I'm just reading this information and it just clicked. What I wanted to do, this book was telling me exactly how to do it. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where it just seems like somebody is speaking directly to you, even though they're speaking to a large group of people. But this book was speaking directly to me. So Monday morning, right? I call up. I get his partner, Mike. I said, Mike, it's Tim O'Brien. I was reading your book at Sunset Boulevard at the car wash. I want to know if you can coach me. He says, I don't do one-on-one coaching. I said, well, can anybody else help me? He said, well, my partner might. So he gave me Steve's number, Steve Johnson. And I called Steve, and I was lucky as could be. He said, well, I have a little bit of lull in my schedule. I don't do one-on-one coaching, but for whatever reason, I just lucked out. He goes, I'll coach you. And it was a lot of money for me at that time, a lot of money. But I knew right then and there, this was it. It was my aha moment. Everything just crystallized. Ever have that? I mean, is this making sense to you? I mean, Do you know what I mean? Like you ever been on this kind of a roller coaster, right? So I was like, this is it. And I suddenly was in the seminar business. I was in the training business. He taught me how to tell my story to the marketplace. He taught me how to prospect. He taught me what to do when you get in front of prospects. He taught me how to close. He taught me how to ask for referrals. I understood the process. And I realized in that moment, it wasn't about shucking and jiving. It wasn't about being more clever than the next person. It was all about process, systems, right? And that's what I want to teach you as we get to this. So it just clicks for me. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, now, guys, let me ask you this. Do me a favor, share with me if you can. I'd love to hear, anything where you have, where you struggled similarly. Maybe I can share it with people who are on the call as well, or on the webinar as well. But at that point, I was all in. So you think it's going to take off, right? Well, let me tell you, just so you know, and I don't mind sharing this with you. I had cut my ties practicing law. I had dabbled with the idea before, but I cut my ties and I said, you know what? I'm done practicing law. And I remember I must have made that decision in my subconscious mind because I would get so nervous. I'd get up in the morning, walk out of, I get up, take a shower, put my suit and tie on, walk out, make my prospecting calls, never get anybody, take my suit and tie off, put my gym clothes back on because I didn't have any clients. Now, I'm not saying to you because I was terrible, but I had to start the process. And I remember the first year, I made about $60,000. And you'd think to yourself, well, you must have been fired up. Well, no, I was 35 years old. So I had been making a lot more money in the law, and I thought it would come a lot more fast. And I remember a conversation with my dad. We were driving on the West Side Highway. My dad was a great mentor of mine, and we were driving in the car, and he was talking to me, and he could sense something was up. I was home at Christmas time, and he said, son, what's on your mind? And I said, Dad, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. And I remember him saying to me, son, you could be a lawyer and be a partner in a law firm, but you chose a different path. Stay on the path you're in. And that's all I needed. Because when he said that to me, I was all in. And I remember when it all clicked for me. I was in Hawaii with my girlfriend at the time, who became my wife, Patricia. We were at the Circle K. I was on Highway 30 on Maui, going to make a left-hand turn. And I said to her, that's it. I'm starting Rainmaker U this November. And it was August. She's like, that's fantastic. She goes, who should be in it? I said, if you're running for the president of the United States, you should be in the program. She said, okay. She's like, how many people you have so far? I said, none. She said, okay, but it didn't matter because when you just know, and I just knew. And guys, I just knew. And over time, these are the kinds of clients that I have helped, these kinds of brand names. But I want to share with you, it's not my bread and butter. The people that I work with most are people just like you and me, lawyers, real estate brokers, doctors, mortgage brokers, accountants, business coaches, any profession you can imagine where somebody's responsible for selling products and services or selling ideas. Those are the people I work with, people just like you and me, because those are the people that I relate to. Now, guys, I've done a lot of things right, okay? No ifs, ands, or buts. And I've done a lot of things wrong. So let me take a couple seconds, just talk about what I've done right. In my time, as I learned to tell my story and as Rainmaker U blossomed, I went from giving Rotary speeches for $0, begging them to give me a chance, to earning $15,000 a presentation. I built my Rainmaker U program from scratch. I got married. I had children. I wrote 2 books. Fortunate enough to make contact with people who loved my message enough to take me all around throughout Europe. My book has been read by people in more than 40 different countries, all because of my ability to tell my story to the marketplace. Now, guys, at the end of the day, it's not just about what you've done right. It's also learning for what you've done wrong. And believe me, I've done a lot wrong. Remember those Rotary speeches I just said where I asked them if I could speak? The first one I spoke at, I was so bad I couldn't wait till the lady ended it for me. I hosted a free seminar to promote Rainmaker U. Nobody came. I paid $15,000 for a booth, $15,000 for a booth at the $1 Million Round Table, and we spelled the person to see wrong. It was the person to see. I wasn't the person to see, I was the person to see. So as you can see, I've had my fair share of mistakes, but here's 3 things I learned. First, simple good, complex bad. Simple, powerful messages win the day every time. Creating these messages super easy and fast, and if you do what I ask you to do, this is what I was able to do. I was able to get more prospects. I was able to earn more money, close more deals, and communicate more effectively. Guys, we can do it the hard way or we can do it the easy way. Hard way is the Tim O'Brien old way, right? Ever heard the philosophy, NIH, not invented here? I never wanted to let people know what I didn't know, right? So as far as I was concerned, I never let you in on what I didn't know. So if you said to me, hey, did you ever read this book? Like in my day, the big hot book was Bonfire of the Vanities. Did you ever read that book? And I would say, oh yeah, I read it, but I never did because I didn't want you to know that I didn't read it because I knew I should, but I didn't want to admit it that I didn't. I also had that mindset of scarcity, right? Nobody could teach me anything, right? No, I don't need golf lessons. I can figure it out on my own because I was afraid to spend the money because if I spent the money, I'd have less, right? And I was insecure. And so as a result, my life was so hard. And thank God I finally woke up. So you know what I started practicing? Here's what I started practicing. I started to practice the philosophy of the dumbest guy in the room because I realized that being the smartest guy in the room wasn't getting me anywhere. So my whole idea was to come in and hope that somebody could teach me something that could transform my life. See, the old Tim was gone. The no lessons Tim, the new Tim took over. I'll give you a good example. I did a presentation for Cushman & Wakefield down in Dallas, Texas, a few years ago. I was the key guy, the main speaker, 400 people. They gave me 3 hours. I did it on personal branding. I crushed it, phenomenal, unbelievable. The reviews were raving. There was a guy that came after me, spoke for about 45 minutes or so. I sold $600 worth of product. He was okay. He was good, but nothing special. He sold 30,000. So what do you think I did? The next day I called him up and I hired him to teach me. I would never have done that in the past, never. Because I was scarcity mindset, I was insecure, and I didn't want to admit what I didn't know. But I know now, right? I understand the concept ROE, return on energy. My whole philosophy is take as long as you have to do it right so you don't have to do it anymore. Hire the experts. You will save so much more money in the long run. You will save yourself so much aggravation, and you will save yourself an enormous amount of time. My life changed in 3 measurable ways. I just told you about Rainmaker U. So no doubt about it, I was fortunate enough by telling my story and be able to market myself and my business. I closed more deals, made a ton more money. No ifs, ands, or buts. The most important thing was I was super confident. It didn't matter where I was, didn't matter what situation I found myself in. I didn't close every deal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be one of those people that make it sound like I close every deal all the time. I don't. But I can tell you this, I don't leave wishing I had said something else. My confidence, regardless of who I'm in front of, regardless of the question that's asked, I stay in my lane. I know the product that I'm selling. I know the service that I'm selling. I'm super, super confident. And as a result, my close ratio goes up significantly. But the most important thing for me was building the transformative relationships. Guys, I was born in a family of 9 children, great mother and father, but our values were comfort, safety, and security. Everything was about staying close, staying within your comfort zone. I met people that transformed my life, took me to Aspen to ski, took me to Hawaii and to Cabo San Lucas, exposed me to investment opportunities, all these things that I didn't know about, but they were further along than me and they liked me. They liked the way I presented myself and they said, Tim, come along. You see, because your messages are not about simply, trying to close sales. Your messages are about building relationships with people who can reach down and pull you up. Now, I want to be clear because we're going to jump into the content now. And I appreciate you being patient with me, but I do think it's a little bit important that you understand who I am, right? Because I got to have some degree of authority. Not everybody knows me, and I want to make sure that I take the time to tell you a little bit about my story. But it's also important. Guys, there is no magic bullet. There is no magic bullet, and don't let anybody tell you there is. And if you see anybody tell you on a webinar there is, or a seminar, or whatever the case may be, they're full of it. The only magic recipe is hard work. You need to be taught how, but at the end of the day, if you don't do, it's never going to happen. The results that I share with you are going to vary. And they're going to vary because the amount of effort is different than other people. I'll give you a good example. So I have a product called the Box System. And I was giving a presentation to Bank of America to the top producers. And I remember the guy saying to me, make sure you have your A game because these people are the best, they're the best we have. And I said, okay, because I plan to come here and give my B game. And so I did this presentation. And at the end of it, I said, look, I've got this Box System. If you email me, I'll send the information to you. And I'm telling you, it definitely will increase your sales. There's no doubt in my mind. Just email me. But I'm not going to just give it away because I do that in the past. And when I leave, it's all over the tables and it's a waste of paper and it hurts my feelings. So you email me, I'll send it to you. 300 people in the room. 300. How many people you think email me? 19. It's not that much competition out there, guys. You know that rule 80-20? It's not true. Of 100% of the people that make the sale, make the first prospecting call, 25% make the third one. 10% make the fifth one. 80% of all sales occur after the fifth call. Okay? The competition is not that hard. So the key is you got to do the work. Guys, let's get into the content. This is what it's all about, right? We're going to jump in. There's 3 big secrets I want to share with you. 3 things. By the way, get pen and paper out. You got to take notes here, okay? I'm going to move quick, but I'm also, as John Wooden would say, be quick, but don't rush. I'm going to move through this, but I'm not going to rush through it, but I'm going to move through it. So I want you to have pen and paper ready because I'm going to give you the formulas, right? I'm going to give them to you. So, because it's all about giving value. The first thing is you're going to see how astonishingly easy it is. And I love that word, astonishingly easy. Actually, my coach, Travis Houston, said to me, we were talking about it, he said, it's astonishingly easy. And I just thought, that's it. It is. That's such a great descriptive word. The second thing is I'm going to teach you the stacking formula. This is why your confidence will soar, because the stacking formula is all about like knowing what's first, what's second, third, fourth, fifth. So when you get through it and you deliver it fluidly, you're like, I did it. I can do this. And you do it again and again and again. And then you're going to make your hay on this is my piece here. I created the 4 advanced the ball closing techniques, right? Now, it's not going to be anything like a Google algorithm, but in my analysis, there's only 4. Only 4. That's it, 4. And I'm going to teach them to you. And this is where you're going to get the more prospects or the more sales and make more money. This is where it will happen. Okay? Secret number 1. I'm telling you, creating these messages is simple and it's easy. It's all about following the formula. Now, we're going to work on the 15-second commercial, the credibility statement, or you want to call it the elevator pitch. Whatever you want to call it. I want you to write down on a piece of paper right now, the elevator pitch or credibility statement or 15-second commercial. Now look, there's 3 purposes to this. The first purpose is obviously to introduce yourself. Somebody says to you, so what do you do? Right? The second purpose is to establish credibility. That's why it's called the credibility statement also, because you introduce yourself, you want people to say in their mind, wow, this lady's impressive. Or the guy to say, man, you're sharp. In their mind. They may say it audibly, but at a minimum, you want them to think that because that's when you start to attract people to you. The last is you want to gather information. And the reason you want to gather information is because you want to customize your message to other people. The key to the process to doing this effectively is intentionality. Guys, the average attention span I had read was 15 seconds. I was at the traffic and conversion webinar or summit down in San Diego a couple of weeks ago, and somebody was on the stage and they said the average attention span of a prospect is 9 seconds. 9 seconds. Let me tell you a little story. In 1960, the presidential election, Richard Nixon versus John F. Kennedy, they did an analysis and they asked, how long is the attention span of the voter when the candidate's speaking to them? And however they measured it, the social scientists, what they found was it was a minute and a half. Fast forward 2004, George Bush versus John Kerry, 7 seconds. Guys, we don't have a lot of time. So there's 5 crucial components. Here's the first crucial component, right? Introduction. This is very important to understand this. When you communicate your message, only 7% of what you communicate is the tone of the words you use. 93% is the tone of voice and body language. That means that 93% is either communicated by your tone of voice or your body language, which 37% is tone of voice, 56% is body language. So that's why you've got to get your credibility statement off on the right foot immediately. This is your 411. So you want to say, hi, my name is Tim O'Brien. I'm a partner with the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. Okay? Those 3 parts. My name, make sure you start with hi, right? Hi, my name is Tim O'Brien. I'm with the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. I'm a partner. Now you'd say, hi, I'm Tim O'Brien, a partner with the law firm of. Now, if you think it's important to say I'm in Los Angeles or I'm in Morristown, New Jersey, because you're talking to somebody in particular, that's fine too. But it's your basic 411 information. Now, and one of them is specialization. I'm going to cover the next 2 in the next 2 slides. Now, when it comes to specialization, you want to go narrow and deep. When you go in for when you have a problem with your heart, you don't go to a generalist. You go to a heart surgeon. You've got to come off like a heart surgeon. The mistake most people make is they're very broad. The problem is the audience has so much information coming at them. Unless you pierce through that, you're never going to be heard. Harry Beckwith wrote a book, What Clients Love. And he talked about don't give them what they want, give them what they would love, what they would love. And in there, he said, the people that win today are the filterers, the clarifiers, and the simplifiers. So I had a client of mine, Joey Bairstock, great life insurance salesman in Beverly Hills, California. And he was in my Rainmaker U program. And we did breakout sessions, and there was a private equity guy, and there was Joey and another insurance guy, and the 3 of them were doing a breakout session. And near the end of the session, the private equity guy, turned to my guy, Joey, and said, hey, Joey, I want to get $5 million worth of insurance. And Joey's like, yeah, it sounds great. He was kind of embarrassed because he realized that, the other guy was in insurance too. And so he's like, yeah, sure. And he kind of shined him off. After it was over, he said, why did you pick me and not the other guy? And he said, I had no idea what the other guy did. You see, I taught Joey, if you're not proud of what you do, get out of that business. Get up and say, I do one thing and one thing only. I sell life insurance. The more narrow you can get, the better off you're going to be. So this is the question I want you to ask in specialization. Write this down. I specialize in. My team and I specialize in. We specialize in ... Your job is to fill that in. So you've got your 411. Hi, I'm Tim O'Brien with the law. I'm a partner in the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. We specialize in one thing and one thing only: commercial litigation. Right? Now, you might not be able to say one thing and one thing only, and that's fine. But I want to push you in that direction if it's all possible, because you're going to see it's going to benefit you in the long run. The second reason why people buy is they buy because of clients. Most people, I know this is a picture of the mother goose and the geese, but I was looking for a picture of lemmings. I don't know if you know what lemmings are, but lemmings are the I don't know if it's called an animal, or mammal. It walks on the earth, and just like these chicks are following this goose, or these little geese are following this mother goose, the lemmings follow each other. But the one lemming who leads it can go off a cliff, and all the other lemmings go off the cliff with it. There are very few early adopters, people who are the first out of the gate. What they're looking for is other people who they trust who have done it. So you need to use your clients to credential you. So just like I said with specialization, when I said we specialize in, I want you to finish this sentence. Our clients include ... Now you want to think, What kind of clients do you want to talk about to credential yourself? Be careful if let's say you have a couple of, let's say you work for corporations and you have 3 prominent names, but they're in the same industry. Be very careful about pigeonholing yourself by saying we work with, American Airlines, United Airlines, and Southwest, because you might pigeonhole yourself into just being an airlines lawyer when you do more than just airline law. Maybe you have regional names. Maybe you have high profile individuals. The key is this: when you deliver that, you've got to think in this section, how can I say this so that the people that are listening to me say, that's impressive. So you might say, hi, my name is Tim O'Brien. I'm a partner with the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe. My team and I, we specialize in one thing and one thing only: commercial litigation. Our clients include Amazon, Google, and General Motors, right? I'll give you a little example for me. I didn't have brand names when I was selling Rainmaker U. So I had to figure out a way to use my clients to credential me. So what I would say is my clients span more than 30 different industries. 50% earn between 300,000 to 500,000 a year. And I'd say 10% earn about $1 million a year. What I was saying was people who have a lot of money, who have a lot of options, who are probably pretty successful, trust me, you should too. So you got to sort of figure that out for yourself, okay? Now, here is the third reason why people buy. It's the benefit, right? People say, I don't care what you specialize in. I don't care how you got there, the specialty. I don't care who else did it. I want that for myself. Now, in this section, you want to think about monetization. Monetization is the money I made people, money I saved people. If you can't do money I made, money I saved, think about statistics, percentages. Say you're a gym owner and you work with people and you want to say, I've worked with 10 clients and on average they've lost, 22 pounds over the first 6 months. What you need is third-party social evidence. If they called these people and you ask them, give me a specific example, or Tim O'Brien said this, is that true? You want them to be able to say, yes, absolutely. So when it comes to the benefit, think third-party social proof. So here's the sentence I need you to finish for me. The sentence in this area is a good example of the kind of benefits we provide our clients is or are. A good example of the kind of benefits we provide our clients are ... You write that down. Okay? So it might go something like this. So here's a good example of the kind of benefits we provide for our clients. There was a company that was representing Google on this matter, and they'd spent $2 million, and the matter hadn't even gotten to the point of preparing it for trial. We got involved. We forced a settlement conference, and we were able to resolve the issue, and Google spent only $250,000 more. You see how it's third-party social proof that it's a brand name. If they call Google, because if you represent Google, presumably they have good feelings about you, and you should call them and say, hey, did you guys save a ton of money using this law from Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe? And they're going to say yes. That's what you're after. So guys, that is step 4. But again, I want to back up for 1 second. 3 reasons why people buy. The specialization. I need that. Number 2, clients. Oh, he did it. I'll do it now. Or 3, the benefits. I don't care how you got it. I don't care who else did it. I want that for myself. You don't know which one it is, so you got to be prepared for all 3. And here's the final. Step 5, the action steps. Guys, I'm going to talk more about this. Remember I said to you in the introduction is that I'm going to give you the 4 advanced ball closing techniques. I'm going to give you an example, right, in this section of what I'm talking about in terms of action steps, but I'm going to cover a little more detail a little bit down the road. Now, there are 4 potential action steps. That's it. 4. First, ask for the sale. Second, be a connector. Third, what I call the Starbucks meeting. And 4th, what I call intentional inaction. Intentional inaction is when you say to yourself in your mind, this is a nice interaction. I don't think there's an opportunity for a sale. I don't think there's an opportunity for me to try to connect this person. I don't think that there's an opportunity for me to have a Starbucks meeting and go deep with this person. So I'm just going to simply say, nice to visit with you. Hopefully we'll see each other a little bit later in the evening. Okay? Or you're at a networking function and you deliver your 15-second commercial and people are like, wow, that's pretty good. And at the end you say, I'm pleased to be here. Because it would be weird after introducing yourself to say, hey, I want to close you, or hey, I can connect you. You would be awkward, to say the least. So maybe it would be put together like this. I'm invited to a networking function and they say, Tim, would you take a couple of moments and introduce yourself to people? I say, sure, I'd be delighted to. Guys, my name is Tim O'Brien and I'm the CEO of the Personal Branding Group. And we specialize in one thing and one thing only, teaching people how to identify their brands and build that brand and market that brand so they become the person to see with their target audience. Now, our clients span more than 30 different industries, and I'd say 50% or so earn between $300,000 to $500,000 a year, maybe 10% earn over $1 million. And here's a good example of the kind of results you can get. One client that we worked with was earning $200,000 a year. After 2.5 years, he grew his income to over $1 million. So if those results appeal to you, I'd love to visit with you and show you how we did it for him. Maybe we can do it for you guys. That's it. That's it. I told you. Fast. No, super fast, astonishingly easy, and super fast. That's it. That's what I mean about how astonishing. I just gave you one example. If you took notes at the end of this webinar, if you take notes, you're going to finish. And if you got some momentum now, if you don't close the book, but you actually finish the process, you're going to be done. But if you don't, guys, you're going to be just like the teacher in Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. That's it. So I just did an example of putting it all together for you. It's not that hard. It really isn't, guys. It's really astonishingly easy and super fast. We just did it together. So I'll give you an example of just how easy it is. So I'm at a wedding for a friend of mine, and it's they're Muslim and they're having it at the Beverly Hills Hotel, and they're all in they're in the big ballroom. And one of the people from my Rainmaker U class, Lauren Kane, is there, and she doesn't know I'm there. I don't know she's there. So she comes walking around the corner and she sees me and she says, what are you doing here? And I said, don't you know? She said, no, what? I go, I specialize in multicultural weddings. My clients are Jews, Christians, Hindus, Muslims. Do you know any other multicultural weddings I should go to? Because I bring some variety to it. And she looked at me and started to laugh. And she said, how did you do that? And I said, it's easy. It's really easy. It's not that hard at all. It's the formula. That's it. It's the formula. So if you stick with the formula, you give me 15 minutes, I'm telling you right now, guys, you just may blow yourself away at how easy it is. So guys, is this resonating with you? I mean, does this make sense? I mean, do you get it? Like when I make that big promise of how astonishingly easy it is, do me a favor also. Share with me, I want to know, are you learning stuff here? I want you to share with me, what are some of the bigger takeaways that you have? What are you going to do tomorrow? Like with this information, right? You devoted your time and attention here. What are you going to do tomorrow? And guys, also, please don't hesitate to share with me any other areas that you're struggling in, because I promise you, I have everything you need. And I'm going to be doing a lot more of these webinars. I have everything you need, but you'll help me to create products for you that's tailored to my target audience. Okay? Time for secret 2, the stacking formula. I just showed you what the stacking formula was for the credibility 15-second commercial elevator pitch, right? Here's the deal. With the stacking formula for the credibility statement, 15-second commercial, how many are there? There are 5 steps. You stack them one on top of the other. For the uniqueness statement, 5 steps, one on top of the other. For the features and the benefits, there's 3. Okay? That's it. Those are the formulas. Now, here's the key. When you got to use the right ingredients. And I'll give you a good example. My mom was a really good cook. And, one time I asked her about cooking and she said, it all starts with quality ingredients. So you got to have the right ingredients in the process. John Wooden was once asked, "Hey, John, Coach Wooden, what, you're so successful. How did you get there? How does it all start?" And he said, "It starts with having great talent." Now, you got to do the right sequence, right? You got to have the right sequence. So like I'll give you a good example in the uniqueness statement. And I'm going to take you through this also. I'm going to give you the formula in the uniqueness statement. You have to have the opening. Okay, so get your pen and paper out again, right? Uniqueness statement at the top. Unique selling proposition, whatever you want to write at the top. Got to start with opening. What's the opening? You got to talk about your services. You got to talk about, number 3, your results, and number 4, you personally, and number 5, the closing. That's the stack. Can you do that for me? So the opening. Now here's the good news. I'm going to give you your opening. Ever been in the situation where somebody says to you, "Hey, so tell me what makes you unique, or what makes you different?" I remember I used to get that question. I mean, I would panic. Like I would panic. I would do everything I do not to pass out. You ever been in that situation? And by the way, if you're not put in that situation, make no mistake about it, that's all your target audience really wants to know, because we're in a commodity world. It's all about differentiation and uniqueness, right? So I would panic. But once I understood the stacking formula, once I understood what the opening was, it was off to the races. Let me give you an example. Here's what the opening is, okay? Write this down. Somebody says to you, "So what makes you unique?" However they say it, you'll know the cue. This is what you're going to say. "I'm glad you asked me that question. What makes us unique are our services, our results, and me personally." Okay? You're going to write this down. Your opening is always going to be, it's going to be, "I'm glad you asked me that question. What makes us unique are our services, our results, and me personally." Guys, what you're saying with that opening is, "I accept your challenge." Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to throw you off your game. Now, the closing. So the intent is different, but the language is the same. And here's the language. Write this down. Write closing, and you want to write this down. So again, comma, what makes us unique are our services, our results, and me personally. You have that opening and that closed. The opening, the tone is, "I accept your challenge." The close is, boom. The close is, "I push it right back in your court." The close is, to use my mom's expression, "Put that in your pipe and smoke it." So let me tell you a situation I had. And I'll never forget it. First time I ever was to deliver my uniqueness statement. I'm in the city of Vernon. I'm doing a presentation for a guy who owns a paper company. Big opportunity for me at the time. And I remember was sitting there, and I'd gone through all my features and benefits and my brochures and my materials, and I'm giving all the information away. Like I'm just doing everything I can to get the sale closed. He takes the paper that it's in front of him, and he puts it aside, and he looks at me and he says, "What makes you different?" And you know how the brain works? Your brain processes 24 pictures in a single second. That's how fast your brain works. I said in my mind, "Holy crap, this is the uniqueness statement." And I was ready. And the guy said, "So what makes you unique?" And I blasted it out of the park. I mean, I blasted it out of the park. And I remember feeling so triumphant. And his expression, when he kind of challenged me at the end, it was a smirk, a smile, because you passed. You see, it's so important. You can do your services. You can do your results. I just told you about an example of the benefits, right? Your specialization, your benefits. You got a little bragging about yourself. So if you put it together, it's kind of like when you're doing a speech. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them, and tell them what you told them. So tell them what you're going to tell them is the opening. Tell them about your services, your specialization, your results, your benefits, and you personally. And then tell them what you just told them. Five pieces stacked right on top of each other. Tell me, do you agree with me? Like, holy goodness, that's it? That's all I have to do. Yeah, because like I told you, remember 93% of what you communicate is your tone of voice and your body language. So you put your stacking together and you sound super confident, you're going to blow the competition away. It's not even going to be any competition. Guys, are you getting this? I mean, like, is this making sense to you? Because I want it to be where you just chill out. Just like with secret number one, do me a favor. What are the major takeaways? Just share some of the major takeaways for me here. What are some of the major takeaways that you're getting? I want to know, what are you going to do tomorrow, right? I will be depressed. I will cry if you guys don't tell me what you're going to do tomorrow and implement this stuff. I'm telling you right now. I told you I care. I see we're going, we're supposed to have an hour here and I'm over my time limit of where I'm supposed to be, but I'm sorry. I'm just so into this and I just love it so much because I just gave you everything you need to do a credibility statement. I just gave you everything you need to do a uniqueness statement. I want it to be so you're so relaxed, you're so chilled out that in your meetings, it's just like a volley back and forth. It's a conversation. That's all I want it to be for you. So you're not stressed, you're not panicked. Remember I said about your confidence soaring? I'm telling you, when the guy said to me, so what makes you unique? I was like, this isn't happening. This stuff really works. All right, secret number 3. I love this one. I love this one. And here's why I love it. Because it's mine, right? Like everything else is it's not that it's not mine, everything else, but you whether consciously or subconsciously, you amalgamate all this information and you put your spin on it, you present it a certain way. But this is my research. And I found that there are 4 advance the ball closing techniques. There's only 4. And I'm going to teach them to you right now. But I'm not going to teach you unless you share with me information, okay, about what you're going to do tomorrow. Okay? Now, look, guys, here's what's going to happen if you follow these 4 techniques. You're going to drive relationships. You're going to drive your interactions. You're going to start accumulating key centers of influence. And that's where you really build your business. Not in one-off sales. It's centers of influence who are telling other great people great things about you, right? That's what our goal is. Dan Sullivan, great line. He said, the mission is to have great people say great things to other great people about you. And you're going to start building, right, powerful goodwill with people so they start talking about you. And here's the key. You're going to start planting subtle seeds. Whether it's intentional or not, you're going to start planting seeds because people are going to see you as a professional. They're going to see you as somebody who is super polished, super accomplished, but not cheesy. And you're going to see people are going to gravitate. This is why I know for a fact you're going to start closing more sales. I just know it because it's impossible for it to have happened for me. I told you where I was in the very beginning. I was awful. I was a lawyer, for God's sakes. I didn't have a clue, first clue. The worst thing that ever happened to me was I thought I knew everything because I was a lawyer. But the best thing that ever happened to me was I got punched right in the face. And I had to go back to the very beginning. Now, look, when it comes to your advancable closing techniques, right? I need you to get the most out of your interaction. And I always use the analogy of it's like having, those night vision goggles that they have in the military. And what you want to do is you want to run through in your mind each of the potential close techniques. So I told them to you before, write these down right now. I'm going to take you through each one, so just chill. Number 1, ask for the sale. Number 2 is be a connector. Number 3 is the Starbucks meeting. And number 4 is the intentional inaction, right? Those are the 4 potential close techniques. So every time I meet somebody, because I'm so practiced in this and so into it, it automatically goes through my mind when I'm meeting somebody subconsciously. So just the other day, I'm in my building in Starbucks, and I'm at 725 South Figueroa Street and the Ernst & Young building, and downstairs is a Starbucks. So I'm in the Starbucks and I bump into this woman and I tease and I say, oh, hey, you bumping into me? And she's like, no, are you bumping into me? And so we get to talking a little bit. And I said, so tell me a little bit about yourself. And she's told me what she did. And I thought, I know somebody who you should meet. And my mind just went right there to try to be a connector. So every interaction I have, I try to get the most out of it and drive the relationship. Here's why most people don't do it. They're lazy. They won't put the time in. Ever hear those people go to networking functions? Yeah, I was there. There was really nothing in it for me. Oh, sorry that the whole world didn't come to you, make your life easy. Number two, sorry, I just think this picture's so funny. They're frightened. You're scared, right? But guess what? You're not going to be scared because I'm going to teach you your techniques. And now you know your credibility statement. Now you know your uniqueness statement. So you're going to be like really gravitating towards the spotlight. Any of this sound familiar to you? Because this was Tim O'Brien, the old Tim O'Brien. Number three, and Rich, who was on my team, thinks this is Britney Spears, and I do not think that this is Britney Spears. So if you think this is Britney Spears, please let me know. But I do not think this is Britney Spears. But this person is very confused. So they're confused. They just don't know what to do. Now, look, there's only 4 options, like I told you. So I'm going to take you through them. Option number 1 is they're a little bit out of order here. So it doesn't matter what the order is, right? But option number 1 is that it's on the screen right now. I talked to you a little bit and I said about ask for the sale close. That was the first one I gave you. But let's take the Starbucks first. These slides are a little bit out of order. But the Starbucks meeting is this. This is what I built my business on. I built my business on finding people who I thought had databases where we could help each other grow our business. And so when I'm interacting with you, I don't wait for you to hopefully say, hey, let's get together. If I think that there's an opportunity for you and I to get together and I can add value for you and you can add value for me, I'm going to advance the ball. So I'll say something like, hey, why don't we get together and share some of our network with each other and see if we can help each other grow our business. I have never had one person say no to me, ever. I built my business, my Rainmaker U business. Once I knew how to tell my story and I had those 3 messages in my, 3 arrows in my quiver, my messages, the elevator pitch, the features and benefits, and the uniqueness statement, I had those arrows in my quiver. All I wanted to do was to get to Starbucks meetings. It's all I wanted to do. And I would drill down and I had value. I'd give other people value. And so I was expecting them to give me value back. So that's the first potential close opportunity. So you're interacting with somebody and you say to them something like this. It's been a pleasure meeting with you. Based on what you're saying, I think maybe we can help each other. Would you be interested in getting together and maybe drilling down a little bit and see if we can sort of help each other grow our businesses? I used to strive for 30 to 40 of these meetings a quarter because they're gold. Be a connector, right? It's not all about you. Just like I was in Starbucks, you're having an interaction. You say to somebody, hey, look, I think there's somebody you should meet, or I'd love to connect you with somebody who can help you. Just for the record, I have married two sets of people on blind dates. I have put together, that means 2 separate people, not to each other. I have been responsible for the marriage of 2 couples. How about that for being a connector? It doesn't always have to be connecting for business. It can be just connecting for life, for social, whatever the case may be. Just look to do, if you're Jewish, you've heard it, the mitzvahs. And if you're not Jewish, you don't know what that means. It's a good deed. Do a good deed. Connect people. Help other people get where they want to go. Zig Ziglar said it best. Help enough people get what they want, and you'll have more than you ever want in your life. Now, the close. There's the little C close and the big C close. The little C close is there's not an opportunity to try to get the business. But there's an opportunity here to continue to cultivate the relationship because I think there's a business opportunity down the road. So the little C is about keeping the ball rolling, all right? The big C, I know what you're thinking right now. I didn't know lizards leapt. I didn't know they did either until I saw this picture. The big C is about taking the chance and going in for it. So the ask for the sale language has 2 parts. Think of it like a wishbone. The left bone is little c. The right bone is the big C. The left bone is, hey, would you, if you'd be interested, I could be happy to sit down with you and take a look at your policies and see if there's any gaps where I can help you. Maybe I can't, but at least you'll have a second set of eyes. That's little c. Big C is, yeah, it sounds like you got a problem there. We represent people like you. If you love, I'd love to get together and see if I can represent you. Do not be afraid to go in for the big close. Now, people are like, well, you know what? I don't like to be pushy. I'm going to tell you something right now. I have never in my life ever heard a successful people say another successful person was pushy. Never. The people who say people are pushy are the people who are stuck in the middle of a pack. That used to be the old Tim O'Brien. Nonsense. The most ambitious people win. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be annoying. You don't want to be offensive, but you will not win if you're not aggressive. So I need you to have those 4 advance the ball close techniques. First, let's do it in the order I presented it here. The Starbucks close. Second, be a connector. Or third is ask for the sale. And number 4 is escape. This is important. You ever been to a networking function and you're there and somebody's like kind of glomming onto you, right? Or you're their lifeline because they're so shy or whatever the case may be, and you just don't know what to do. Here's what I don't want you to do. Don't ever say to your buddy, Pete, come here, meet Julie. And then when Pete comes over, say, I'll be right back, guys, I'm gonna get a drink, and then leave Pete stuck with Julie. That's low class. You don't want people to do that to you. That's better dealing people. It's better to say intentional inaction in my mind. I'm with Julie. It's time I move on. This is my internal dialogue. There's no ask for the sale opportunity. There's no connector opportunity where I can help her. Number 3 is I'm not going to ask, let's get together and go to Starbucks because it would be pointless. So all I'm simply going to do is intentionally say, I'm not going to take any action. And I'm going to simply say, it's been a pleasure meeting with you. Why don't we go and see if we can visit with some other people? Maybe our paths will cross later this evening. That's what a class act does. Okay? Those are the only 4 action steps, guys. Do you see? I'm sorry, I just get so fired up about this, but do you see how easy it is? Do you see when I demystified it here, I made it so simple? This is what I do. I put my night goggles on, I go into a networking function. I don't go in and extract everything I can get out of it. That's not what it's about. The presumption is I'm going to give value. Otherwise, who the heck would want to spend any time with me? And it's not like I go to functions where nobody knows me. I'm going to places where I go routinely and see a lot of the same people. So word would get out, stay away from Tim O'Brien. He's a taker, not a giver. Look, I want you to relax in networking. I want you to just enjoy the process. I went to the Travel and Conversion Summit. And Travis, my coach, said, I want you to go down there and meet people and, get information, learn information and all that kind of stuff. And so I was all fired up, ready to go. Problem was when I got down there, I realized I don't know anybody. And a lot of these people know each other. And it was really intimidating. You see, I share that with you because I don't want you to think like, oh, I went down, I dominated, because I didn't. And it took me a day or so to kind of get my sea legs. And then I simply said to myself, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to introduce myself to every single person that I come in contact with. If I sit down at a breakout session, if I'm in the line at Starbucks, right? I'm going to use my 15-second commercial. I'm going to use my uniqueness statement if it's appropriate. But I'm not going to stalk people in the hallway because it's not my style. Now, there are some people who do that and are very good at it, and it's awesome. So I'm not telling you don't do that. I'm just giving you an example of how I utilize these tools at the conference, right? In order to try to make sure that I get the most I possibly can out of it. You don't have to force it. You just take your time, but at least you know what you're doing. So guys, I'll give you an example. I remember being at a function and it was a guy was running for governor, and one of my clients invited me, and it was just 12 of us, and it was a really expensive fundraiser. He asked me to go, and so I went and I donated the money. And so we're sitting around the table in a room, and I'm always preaching, you got to be prepared, you got to be prepared, you got to be prepared. And so he looks at me and he goes, why don't we have Tim start us off? And I know why he was doing it. He wanted to put me on the spot. And I was ready. When I was done, the guy running for governor looked and said, I want that guy on my team. And I was so proud. I was bursting with pride. At the end of it, after it was over, 2 of the people that were in the room came up and I signed them up for my Rainmaker U program. It doesn't always happen that way. But I got to tell you, it sometimes does. Because I was prepared. I was ready, like I was ready to the city of Vernon. Guys, see what I mean? Like, do you agree with me we need to be prepared? Do you agree with me that it's not that hard if you take the time, invest the time to do this? It's kind of easy, actually, isn't it? So here's a person, Sally Giblin, right? Sally is, when I first started working with Sally was probably making $60,000 a year. I'm guessing she was at a small little, I wouldn't even say it was a local commercial insurance company. And through a couple of introductions, I connected Sally with Locked In, and Sally's a rock star. She's married to a great guy, Jeff, and they had a dual income and they were living a decent life. But Sally took everything I taught her about telling her story to the marketplace, about going deep with centers of influence, maybe better than anybody in Rainmaker U. And today, Sally is a dominant force in employee benefits in California. She's now the president of Locked In San Diego. Locked In is the largest privately held insurance company in the world. And that's where Sally was, and that's where she is today. That's what I mean by social proof. You call Sally, that's what Sally wrote to me on my LinkedIn page, right? Steve's on this call, right? I said, hey, Steve, just checking in. How's it going? This is what he wrote back. I just powered through the videos and worksheets, and I can't tell you the benefit I just received from writing everything down and hammering out my credibility statement. The videos and worksheets were infinite value, and I have no doubt that I would be more confident speaking about myself moving forward. Now, that was probably a couple months ago. So I'd love to know, Steve, how's it working out? I mean, did you do your uniqueness statement? Did you do your features and benefits? I mean, did you do all of the work? And how is it working out? Are you producing results? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I suspect the answer is yes, because you're a go-getter. And I know that because I see your responses all the time on all my social media stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is yes. Guys, would you agree that it's kind of been like drinking out of a fire hose? I mean, would you agree with me? We're at minute 10 and, look, I couldn't cover everything I want to cover in an hour in a webinar. I could cover the credibility statement for an hour alone, the uniqueness statement for an hour alone, the 4 closing techniques for an hour alone. But what I want to do is I want to ask you permission. What I want to do is I want to ask your permission to tell you about something I put together for you guys on this webinar. Okay. And for sticking on it and staying on it. And I just want your permission. So do I have your permission? Because it's called Creating $1 Million Messages. Guys, would we all agree, and let me ask you this, would we all agree that we all need a coach at times to get to the next level, right? We do. And, I told you about, Steve Johnson being my coach, and I'm sure you can all point to coaches in your life. And I'd like to be the coach for you. And I'd like to be the coach for you in a way that makes good sense, that you're going to actually follow through and put this information into play. Now, stay with me, because if you go to my website, we have Creating $1 Million messages on there for $7.95. But I got, it's not going to be $7.95. Just I'm going to tell you right up front. But stay with me because I'm going to tell you what's in it, right? First thing you get is you get access to the private members area. Okay, so you can log in and you're going to have access to the private members area, and you're going to have access to all the videos, all the worksheets, all the PowerPoints. Here's Wes Cirque. I was just with him today. And Wes is a guy who was working with me when he was at Northwestern Mutual. He's now the CEO of Risk Management Advisors. And over the course of, since we started working together, we've been working together a long time. He's 8 times his business. No ifs, ands, or buts. Again, social proof. Guys, I also want to tell you this. I didn't invent a lot of this stuff. I just put it together in a way that hopefully is understandable. But I can tell you this, the way I put it together, if you do the work, you're going to get phenomenal results. You are. And everything I ask you to do or everything I teach you, I do myself. So when I share with you the joy of being able to go on vacation to Hawaii with my family, or, I'm going to Mammoth this weekend to go skiing in Mammoth with Patricia and the children, it's all because of the hard work I put in with my coach, Steve Johnson, and over the course of time, perfecting my messages, perfecting my products, perfecting my services, all the things that I have to offer. And Wes is a guy that put it into play. It's just, you can get phenomenal results. I'm also going to give you my drilling down strategy. My drilling down strategy is 2 worksheets. And these 2 worksheets with a video, these are the 30 most important questions you want to ask in any interaction. You want to discover this information. And you want to discover it for 3 reasons. The first reason you want to discover it is because you gotta go narrow and deep with people, but you got to do it in a way that you're not nosy, right? You got to do it in a way that you're not nosy. Number 2 is you want to leverage this information for your touch campaigns. The average person has to hear your message 6 to 8 times to remember you, right? 6 to 8 times to remember you. So what are you doing to maintain contact with your people? And number 3 is you want to use this information to close people because you want to understand what their primary motivating factors are. You want to understand what makes them tick, what's most important to them. So in addition to that, I'm also going to give you example of a client's messages. This is for the first 30 people only. Okay. Here's the deal. Just last week, 2 weeks ago, I was down in San Diego with a team that produced $5 million in commercial insurance. It's a team there. It's not commercial insurance, excuse me, commercial real estate. And we worked on their messages, right? We worked on their credibility statement, their uniqueness statement, and their features and benefits. $10,000 for the day. Okay. Me and their team. If you came to Rainmaker U 1 quarter, we would work on this. Your value, you'd be at $16.95. That's what you'd be paying, $16, $1,695. The reason I want to give this to you is because I want to make it so it's like painting by the numbers. Okay, guys? When Steve Johnson taught me things, what I did was I would take the examples he gave me and I would white out what didn't apply to me, but leave what did, and I would put in my own information. You see, I didn't want to recreate the wheel. So Steve would say, Tim, here's an example of your 15-second commercial or credibility statement, or here's an example of a uniqueness statement, or here's an example of features and benefits, And what I would do is I would just write the stuff out and then I would put my stuff in. So it became literally like painting by the numbers. Look, it's what I'm saying is true, right? I mean, I just showed you the stacking formula for the credibility statement. I mean, I just said to you, hi, my name is Tim O'Brien. I'm partnered with the law firm of Dewey, Cheatham and Howe. Hi, I am, write your name. I am a, write your title. With, write who you're with. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's just not that complicated. So I'm going to give that to you because I want you to do the work. I want you to follow through for me. Okay? Now, here's what I'm also going to do. For the first 20 only, right? Only the first 20 people. This is it. And I set this up too because, look, here's the deal. I'm not giving this away to everybody. I'm giving this to the people who are super, super committed. I'm going to give you my written examples of the commercials I used to build my Rainmaker U program. Okay? So what was the credibility statement I used? What was the uniqueness statement I used? What were my features and benefits? You're going to have the messages I used to build the program to recruit 400 professionals who earn $250,000 a year or more, right? Who together produced over $100 million in fresh new income. I'm going to give that information. I'm going to give that to you, okay? For the first 20 people only. Guys, here's another guy in my program. Guys in Worldwide Facilities, Surplus Lines. This guy was selling pagers. He was a super talented salesman. Now, for some of you who are young on the phone, you're like, what the heck is a pager? It's that thing that used to be on your hip and it would beep, and then you'd go to a payphone and you'd call in. He would say he was a guy who was selling pagers. He was number 2 in his company or number 7. I couldn't remember what it was. And I connected him with one of my clients, Davis Moore, and he took off. The guy did the work and he blew it out of the water. I mean, blew it out of the water. Again, more evidence if you do the work, what can happen. Guys, this is for the first 10 only. You can see right here, okay? This is a $4,370 product offering, okay? I'm going to give the first 10 people, you can send me your messages, and I will critique them. If you had me come to your office and do a one-on-one, it would be $10,000, okay? I'm going to allow you, send me your messages. Now, I want to tell you a story. I could probably say everybody on the call could do it. I remember I was at the $1 Million Roundtable exhibiting. And remember I told you the posting to see? Well, a guy came by my booth. And when he came by my booth, he saw the credibility statement. And he said to me, oh, I like that product. I want to get that product. And I said, okay, great. So I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. You listen to this CD. You fill out the worksheets. You send it to me. And I will critique it and send it back to you. And he's like, you will? I go, absolutely, without question. And I said, guess what? He said, what? I said, you won't. And he was like, that's kind of a weird sales pitch. And I'm like, but you won't, I guarantee it. And he's like, well, yes, I will. And I said, okay, we'll see. That was, 12 years ago. Still haven't gotten his message. You see, guys, if you do what I ask you to do, you don't have to have a Google algorithm. You just have to master what I'm going to teach you. And then you're going to practice it, make it your own, and you're going to dominate. Because here's what I want. I want you to polish your messages. I want to polish them for you, but you have to do the work. Lane Wagon Seller, my buddy, just sent this to me. He's a client of mine, my Epic Mastermind group. We meet here in Los Angeles. And he just sent this to me. He sent me actually an email and said, check out below all my client intake calls this morning. And I've teased him. I wrote back, braggart. And he wrote back, no, I wasn't bragging. I just wanted to let you know that. And then it says, everything you are pushing me to do is working, even when I'm not sure that it is. It is an evidence-based way to say, thank you, Tim O'Brien. You are awesome. Made my day. Made my day. You have no idea. Made my day. Because all I want you to do is be successful. All I want you to do is take the stuff that I've used, proven it works. This is who it works for, guys. But this is not an exhaustive list. Products, services, selling ideas. If you're a politician, I don't care what you're doing. You're a professor selling your class. You're a CEO of a company selling the people on ideas. You're a team leader getting people enrolled in a shared vision. You got to be an awesome at telling your story to the marketplace. You got to be able to say to your people, this is what makes what we're doing unique and different than what we did before. And here's why we're doing it. This is why you should buy in, right? This is so important. All these different people that I've worked with, I told you, span more than 30 different industries. And this is just a snapshot. Guys, I had two choices. I could go super low, $99. I mean, what's the effort for me? It's an online product, right? It's already there. But really, quite frankly, it wouldn't incentivize me to give you all this stuff and stack all this other stuff in there for you. So I said to myself, I'll make it a little bit more expensive, but in exchange of making it a little more expensive, I can devote more resources to hopefully guarantee your success, right? So that was what I went with. Here's another guy, Dan Urbach. When I was working with Dan, make a couple $100,000 maybe, Pacific Palisades. Dan's now one of the dominant real estate brokers, commercial residential real estate brokers in the Pacific Palisades, right? Just sent me an email the other day. It said, actually he sent it to my friend David Brecker, who both guys were in Rainmaker U, and he said to Dave Brecker, he said, TOB deserves all the credit for keeping us focused and doing what we're supposed to be doing. Now, the guy's dominating. Why? The guy puts into play information I shared with him. He's awesome at marketing himself, telling his story to the marketplace. So guys, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get creating $1 million messages, $795. Drilling down strategy, $195. Example of a client's messages so you can just paint by the numbers. Give you the messages that I used to build Rainmaker U, $1695. And for the first 10 customers only, I'm going to critique your messages for you. I'm going to do it for you. All that, $43.70. Let me ask you this. If all the product did was give you the templates, you needed to create the 3 messages, just gave you the templates, that's it. Would it be worth it? If all it did was teach you the stacking formula so that you were supremely confident in knowing that you're delivering your message the way you're supposed to be, would it be worth it? What if you just closed 5 more deals? What if you closed 1 more deal because of the nature of the business you're in? Would it be worth it? What would it be worth to you, right? To become amazing at selling your products and services and knowing that you are better, more prepared than your competition. Just like when you were stuck, I was stuck in the mud, remember? I deserved it. If I was willing to do the work, I deserved the outcome. Don't you deserve it if you put in the effort to reap the rewards? What's 1 new deal worth? 5, 10, 25,000? I tell you this, Eric Flexner, client of mine in Hancock Park, residential real estate broker, closes 1 deal, it's $25,000. Is it worth it? I mean, worth it to be able to tell your story in a phenomenal way? I don't know. I think so. Guys, somebody just hired me. This is with $60,000 for 1 year of coaching. 1 year, right? One-on-one coaching. I think you can see I got a lot of good content, and get a sense of why people do hire. If you would have purchased this product and you listen to the videos and complete all the worksheets with my guidance, I walk you through it step by step, you would have 3 messages that very few other people would have. Very few. Imagine the competitive advantage you have. I mean, wouldn't you be fired up? Now look, all that for $495. So if you're interested and you want to be one of the first 30 because you want to get a copy of the messages that I helped that group create that does $5 million in commercial real estate, get going. If you want to be one of the top 20 to get my Rainmaker U worksheets or my Rainmaker U messages, get going. And if you really want to be in the top 10 and have me critique your messages and get them back to you, get going. I'm telling you right now, without question, if you do the work, you will produce amazing results because I know from firsthand experience. Now, look, there's 3 options you have, or there's 2 options you have, actually. The first option is do nothing, and that's fine. I mean, maybe you're still in that space where you used to be like me, like where, I don't know, and I don't know. I have the scarcity mentality, or I'm stuck in my comfort zone. I just can't seem to get out of it, right? Do nothing. There's 0 risk in that, nothing. But do you like where you're at? Or you can pony up a small amount of money, a little more than $1 a day, right? For a product that you'll have forever, that will create lasting, impactful results forever, right? You'll have something very few other people will have. And here's the deal. If it works, awesome. If not, you got a 30-day money-back guarantee. You hear me? That's it. 30 days. I don't care if it's the 29th day, if it's the 29th day, the 59th minute of the last hour. If it doesn't work, the risk is gone. I have no interest in jamming products to my prospective audience. I have no interest in that, sell it and move on. I want you to be so satisfied, and I want you to be telling everybody that this was the greatest product that you ever bought and it transformed your life. And if you don't feel like that after doing the work, I'm okay. But if you do, I'm telling you, get going, because you want to be one of the first 10 at a minimum. At a minimum, you want to be one of the first 10 if you can. Like I said, 30 days, 29th day, 23rd hour, 59th minute. You just email me. There's not going to be any questions. What's the problem? No. You're late. That's it. I want you to be happy. Guys, here's the real question. Is it worth gambling a few minutes of your time to check this out? If it does even half of what I've claimed it to do it today, I'm telling you, it can do 1,000 times over what I'm telling you. I speak from personal experience. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to click on that link. When you go to that link, this is going to pop up. The account information starts with putting your email address in there. You put your email address in there. When you put your email address in there, it's going to take you to fill out the rest of the sheet, the rest of the order form. When you buy that, when you complete that, you're going to get a link and get access to our private client area. And depending upon where you are you the first 30, the first 20, or first 10, we're going to send to you the products that I promised that you would get depending on where you are in the queue. So guys, this is what you get. You get creating $1 million messages, 29 videos, the PowerPoint, the worksheet. I take you through a step-by-step process. When you're done, just like I took you through the credibility statement, elevator pitch, just like I took you through the uniqueness statement, I'm going to take you through these in detail. And when you are done, you will be done forever and you will be ready to go to get out there and start doubling your business. I'm going to give you the drilling down strategy. I'm going to give you the worksheets and an accompanying video. You're going to get an example of my clients' messages so you can start painting by the numbers. And just like for me, the guy was the #1 salesman in the world for Dale Carnegie seminars. Don't you want to show me what you did? And then I want to do exactly what you did. That's what I said to him. That's what I suggest you do. But for those who move quick, it's probably closed by now. It's probably already one of the first 10 are gone. But if you do, I'll let you send me your messages and I'll critique them and I'll send them back to you. Guys, if you didn't sign up immediately, there's really 3 reasons why not. And the answer is first is I don't have the time. And I think hopefully I've pretty much dispelled that myth. Because if you don't have 30 minutes per message, you're not a serious player and you're not going to explode to the next level. You're engaging in arena behavior because I just showed you 30 minutes for each message and you'll have a draft that you'll be ready to go. If you took notes on this call, you already have some semblance of a draft right now. That's how fast you'll put these together. I don't have the money. You know, Joe Roebuck, when he was in the Rainmaker U program, it was $6,000. And the guy who told me you should join the program, Joe didn't meet the economic threshold, but the guy who sponsored him called me up and said, Tim, you want to take a chance on this guy? He said, Joe, you can't afford not to do it. You can't afford not to do it. I'll tell you a funny little story. I didn't have the money to coach with Steve when I first started out. And, I had I paced, I spread out my payments so that I could do it. And so back in the day, you'd call up you can do this all online now, but back in the day, you would call, your Bank of America was my bank. And I'd punch in my account number and it would say like check number 131 paid, check number 132 paid, check number 133 returned. My first coaching check bounced. It bounced. You're talking about being humiliated. But what I did was the next day I knew it bounced before they did. So what I did was I went to the bank and I took out the cash plus $30, put it in an envelope, drove down to Manhattan Beach, 7 a.m., knocked on the door. The guy's wife opened the door. I said, you don't know me, but Steve is coaching me and I wrote him a check and it bounced and I'm really sorry. Here's the money plus $30. And so I just wanted to give this to you. So, hopefully we're okay. You got to make the investment in yourself, man. You got to do it because that's what it's all about. And you think it won't work for you? Let me tell you, if you think sales is about being clever, spontaneous, you're kidding yourself. This works for everybody. I got to give you an example. I can't tell you how many people that I've seen who look the part from central casting, but can't deliver because they don't do the work. And I have seen so many people who don't look the part, who crush it simply because they follow the process and they follow the system. I just told you in the beginning of this where I started, how bad I was, how far I've come. And the reason is because I followed the process. I followed the formulas. I wasn't any good at selling. I haven't heard anything different. It never even crossed my mind. You're like, what are those horns there? They're greenhorns. I was a greenhorn. It means I was inexperienced. I had no experience. The guy says, I haven't heard anything different. I wanted to say to him, I didn't know I was supposed to tell you that. I didn't even know how to package. I didn't even know how to start a meeting or close a meeting. But what I did was I invested in me. I lucked out, man. I saw that book and I started to read it and I knew in an instant and I never looked back. Do you know the average student that goes to Stanford, the parent will spend on average for tuition $50,000 a year. At the end of the tuition, they'll spend, at the end of 4 years, $200,000. They did a study and they found that over the next 10 years, that student would spend a total of $1,200 on their professional education. $120 a year. You tell me how you think you could be successful spending $120 a year on your professional development. It's impossible. But I invested in me. I took a chance with Steve. I made it right. I never looked back. So here's your offering, right? It's $4,370 for $495. That's it. A little more than $1 a day. So I hope you took action. Guys, I want to spend the last few minutes with you going over some of these typical objections that I hear from people, right? So if you're not convinced and you're thinking, well, I'm on the fence, I'm just going to share with you a couple of things. Is I worry about this, Tim, being overwhelmed and, I got so much stuff and, I got all these sales books and all these binders and I just want to make it real simple for you. I just want you to get access to the private client area. And I just want you to watch video number 1, put it on pause, fill out the worksheet, turn on video number 2, put it on pause, fill out the worksheet. That's all I want you to do. I just want you to paint by the numbers. If you just give me the time I need you to go through the 29 videos, you'll be done with your messages. You'll be done with them. They'll evolve. Don't get me wrong. They'll evolve over time, but your messages will be pretty much done, right? So really don't worry about being overwhelmed. Everything I do is about setting it up in bite-sized, in bite-sized, how do you say, bite-sized amounts? You know, the old expression, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's what we're going to do. I can't afford it right now. The question you got to ask yourself is, can you not afford it? Can you not afford not to do it? If I've taken the risk away, I mean, really, it all boils down to having an honest conversation with yourself. I remember Steve telling me a story about a guy who was selling seminars in Detroit, Michigan, and it wasn't going very well. And he was in the bathroom, a public bathroom, and he was, just like, God, this stinks, and I'm so bad, and it's not going good, and complaining. And he looked up in the mirror, and he saw himself, and it just came out. He said, "You poor little baby, you want your mommy?" He said it was just all he needed to just snap out of it. And so here's the deal, guys. Are you your own obstacle because you're not willing to bet on yourself? Because I can tell you this, there's no risk here. If you think the product is any good, all the risk is gone. The last thing you have to ask yourself is, are you going to bet on yourself? Number 3, I don't have a great personality. It's all about personality. That's hooey. It's nothing to do with personality. Let me tell you a story about a guy who is a commercial real estate broker here in Los Angeles. Every day he gets up, the world is against him. He's short, fat, and bald and talks like this. And he's the number 1 salesman in his company. And the reason he is because he understood what I taught him. He put it into play, and he didn't let anything deter him. He got in his lane, and he just went forward. And any obstacle he met, he overcame. And he just stayed on message. This has nothing to do with personality. If you think you're going to make it up as you go along, if you think that it's all about, spontaneity, you're going to produce inconsistent results. You're going to woefully underachieve. What I want to do is teach you what you need to do. And then some of the best salesmen are engineers with very modest personalities because they're great at process. And that's what I want to do. I want to teach you the process. Number 4, I've been doing this fine, just fine. Why do I need this? And the answer is real simple. Maybe you don't. But let me tell you about Stanley Black. You see, Stanley Black is a pretty amazing guy. I was invited to give a speech to the Rotary in Beverly Hills a few years ago by Joey Bairstock, who I mentioned earlier in the webinar. And so I gave it to the group on personal branding, and it was well received. And after it was over, people were talking to me, and I was all full of myself because it was going so well. And this guy came up to me afterward, and he said to me, I'm always trying to improve, and you got some products? And I'm like, yeah, I got products, and I'm thinking to myself, come on, give me a break, guy, will you? And he's like, what do you got? I was like, well, you got the magic of remembering names. He goes, yeah, I need that. I got to work on remembering names. Can you, I want to get that. So I'm like, all right, yeah, no worries. All right, you can get that. So I brushed the guy off, and the guy comes up to me and says, dude, you know who that is? I'm like, no, who's that? He goes, Stanley Black. I'm like, who's Stanley Black? He goes, he's like the biggest real estate developer in Los Angeles. Like the Jewish Federation building, he like donated it, like $50 million building, like gave it away free. And I'm thinking to myself, what a punk I am. Here's this guy, 75 years old. He doesn't need to be coming up to me, but the guy is working on getting better. So I'm here to tell you, if you think you've got it all figured out, pack it in, because you don't. And this will make you even better. I will tell you this. I know a lot of people who are really successful who never took the time to crystallize their messages, and went to a whole new level because they took all their natural talent. They took all their experience. They took all of their great accomplishments, and they finally repackaged them. And man, they crush it. So the final one, won't I sound too practiced? I love this one. You ever hear of the movie Gone with the Wind? Do you think like Rhett Butler or Clark Gable, who played Rhett Butler? What do you think? Like the cameras rolled and they said, Rhett, just kind of say what's on your mind. And he came up with this incredible, quip. Frankly, Scarlett, I don't give a damn. Guys, Hollywood invests millions and millions and millions of dollars and they write scripts. And if the actor can't memorize the script, they can't be in the movie. In this case, we get to write our scripts. The whole key to being great as an actor is to make your script so perfect and to memorize it so well and practice it so intentionally and so intensively that it becomes second nature. Jim Carrey, I was reading something about Jim Carrey, and he talked about how he practices his zany moves over and over and over again before he actually goes live on camera. And it's true because they show you the outtakes in all of his movies. And he says, I'm so spontaneous because I'm so well prepared. Guys, it's all about practice. It's all about working through inefficiency to effectiveness. And when you become second nature and you're having a good day and these messages are second nature and roll off your tongue, you're going to be unbelievable. And when you're having a bad day, you're going to have a bottom where you're going to be solid and good. Think of what that would do for you, what kind of results that would produce. So guys, here's the deal. Let me summarize it real quick for you. Again, here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a value for $4,370 for $495. You're going to get creating $1 million messages, all the worksheets and the PowerPoints. You get my drilling down worksheets. You're going to get an example of a client's messages. You're going to get my messages from my Rainmaker U program. And for the first 10, I'm going to give you the opportunity to send me your messages. I will critique them and I will send them back to you. How does that sound? Not bad, right? Pretty good. So if you're still on the call, like, what are you doing on the webinar? Like, right? Let's go. Remember, you're your best bet, baby. Get going. Okay. See you inside the program.